Hello, and welcome to Segments with Mark and Amber. Segments is a comedy and entertainment podcast where we choose a topic and discuss it in various segments. I'm Amber, and I'm here with my faithful companion, my husband, Mark.
Yes, this is Mark. I'm so glad to be here. Tonight is a very special episode. Amber and I are discussing pets.
Nothing could be more fitting for our big 20th episode.
Yeah, we wanted to do something very near and dear to our hearts, and so we have chosen to talk about our four-legged furry companions.
I think all of them we're going to talk about are furry, but not all pets are furry. And
some are feathered.
Or scaly.
Like a lizard. Didn't think about that. I had a good friend. His name was Steve. He had many snakes in his basement.
Ooh, yeah.
That's not a pet that I would like to have.
Nope. I don't like that one either.
Yeah, so we're talking all about pets tonight, and it's going to be a fantastic show. So the format is going to be, first we'll start out with all of our normal opening stuff. We're going to talk about our own history with pets, a pet-themed book review, another classic Segments book review, and our top 5 pop culture pets.
Woohoo!
So if you want to play along with us, you can contact us Twitter or Facebook or Instagram at SegmentsCast or Gmail. Send us an email at segmentscast@gmail.com. The word on the street is that Amber posted another Instagram picture today.
Yeah,
so.
I think I've done just about one per show since we've started. We're not getting a lot of back and forth there. In fact, I think the last one, the one about The Rock, got 0 likes. But, it's nice to put it out there. Yeah. We do have people following us all. I get notifications all the time. So-and-so started following you.
Oh, that's good.
We're probably up to 40-something.
I don't have an Instagram.
So you don't get to see all that non-action.
Yeah. Well,
otherwise, you would like it.
I would like it. We do have a Twitter. We don't get a ton of action on the Twitter either, but I think it's not people's fault. I think it's you get action, right, when you are active. And I think that's one thing that where we could, or maybe say we're in first, maybe we're in second gear, we could turn it right up to third gear.
We could.
A little more action on the social medias.
I don't even know if we're in second.
Wait, I said social medias. We don't say that here in Segment Studios. We say the social meds.
Oh, yeah. Let's save some time.
It's way cooler. It is way cooler. So follow us on the social meds and talk to us, and we will be as active as we can be.
That's right.
Amber, did we have any corrections or apologies from last week's episode? Last time's episode?
It's been a couple weeks. We did not have any official corrections or apologies. How that works is if somebody messages us and lets us know that perhaps we made a mistake. Maybe we said something that was not truthful on accident, of course, or maybe there's something that we needed to clarify. Nothing specifically came up. However, it did occur to me that maybe the last episode was about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Maybe we should have given just a brief history involving his wrestling career, or more so. I know you talked about how he got his name from his dad and whatever, but I felt like we kind of glazed over that, and there's a lot of people that really are fans of him from his wrestling career.
Yeah, and I guess it's because we just don't know anything about him from his wrestling career.
No, and I'm not interested in that.
Yeah, and it would have necessitated some more, what do you call that, research.
Yeah.
Which isn't a high value on the Segments podcast. We do a bit of research.
Yeah, we had done research, but more focusing on his movie and future political career.
That's it. That's what we were really concerned with is, will he become the president, and can we help? I think yes.
I think so. So our good friend Brian Fletcher did mention that, or he did a quote. He said, what did he say?
He did a quote.
He commented on a Facebook post and said, "What did you think about Jumanji?" And then in all caps he said, "It doesn't matter what you think!" ! With a cool smiley face emoji after it. I didn't know what that was. And so I did literally Google Jumanji. It doesn't matter what you think, thinking maybe that was a quote from the movie that I forgot. Nothing came up. I just sort of forgot about it for a little while. And I did respond like, well, I super loved it. And then later Brian sent a link of apparently The Rock likes to scream that at people, or did, especially in his wrestling days.
When he was a wrestler. So.
Doesn't matter what you think. And there's a pretty funny compilation video on Facebook.
Yeah, I watched that just before we recorded, and what made me happy about it is that it appears to me that The Rock has just always been The Rock.
Yeah.
He is who he is, and obviously he's playing some sort of a character in his wrestling persona, but it's just, I just like it.
Yeah,
just like
even
him,
when
even
he's yelling that at
screaming.
you, it's very likable
He's so
and
funny.
charismatic.
He does that weird face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did think that would, if he ran for office, that would certainly come up as like the opposing party could be like,
Oh,
do
yeah.
you think that The Rock wants to help you with welfare reform? And then he'd go, it doesn't matter what you think. And they'd say, he doesn't care about you.
Oh,
See, that could be used against him.
yeah.
Or
It
maybe
could be.
pro. I think they should get out ahead of it.
Yeah,
It could
get out
be
ahead of
pro.
that, and they could have clips of his rival, whoever it is, Trump or whatever.
There you go.
And saying something about
Trump
a wall,
versus
and
The Rock.
and The Rock goes, "It doesn't matter what
Yeah.
you think." Yeah, I like
There you
that.
go. There you go. Okay, so that could be used. Yep.
So
All right.
yeah, all right. So we did forget about that a little bit, but there we've just corrected that mistake. We've
Yeah.
talked about the Rock's wrestling career. We did get some great feedback.
Yeah,
Our
we
friend
asked people what their favorite The Rock movies were.
Our friend Callie said that she really enjoyed Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle, which was fantastic.
Oh, yeah, we loved it.
My movie of the year, 2017.
Wow. Great.
Wow.
I just feel like you've said that for several movies, but maybe it's all this one. Maybe I just keep
Do you
being
think so?
surprised every time. Okay.
Bobby Joe also liked Jumanji. Okay, here's an interesting one, Amber. So Eileen Barrett and
Yep.
somebody else, my good friend Joe, said that their favorite rock movie was The Rundown. And I'm like, The Rundown? I don't know what that is. So I watched the trailer. I played the trailer for you today. And I cannot believe I haven't seen this movie. It has all of the classic rock action that I'm looking for.
Yeah, it has adventure. They're running through jungles. It's got Christopher Walken.
It's got that other guy.
Sean William Scott looked funny.
A scene with a
There's
monkey.
parts of it that look really familiar to me, but I can't remember seeing the movie overall. So maybe I just remember seeing the previews.
Yeah, the movie looked not familiar at all to me. I
Okay.
don't know when it was released. I am shocked that such a huge fan as me has not seen that, so I'm going to make sure I rectify that as soon as possible. So thank you, friends, for leaving that feedback. That's very, very helpful.
Good. My mom said that her favorite was the one from the picture. I did find an amazing picture of The Rock to post, but I don't know what movie that was.
Gotcha. So what I think is when I say something and then you pause for a second and then say good, it makes me feel like you have not been listening to what I said.
You should test me and say something that's not good and then see if I still respond. I realized that one of the comments further down the page was cut off. So I was trying to surreptitiously look it up while we were talking so
I
that
didn't
I
even
could
notice.
share the entire comment later.
So your mom said that one from the picture.
Good. Just
What
kidding.
does... So I don't know what that means.
I posted a picture of The Rock, and then I said, what's your favorite movie of The Rock? So she said the one from the picture. I think she's just saying she likes that picture.
She liked that picture.
Mm-hmm.
So Carrie said that her favorite's the Tooth Fairy. And I
She
agree.
said, don't hate me.
Oh, yeah, that's true. She did say that. And, yeah, we agree. We love the
But,
Tooth
yeah.
Fairy. Very good. All of them.
Ella liked the game plan.
Absolutely.
My friend Brenda also liked Jumanji and all of his movies.
Joe liked the Rundown. He liked Walking Tall.
Something else, but
And
I haven't been
something
able to
else.
scroll down there surreptitiously yet.
Sorry, Joe. But if we
I'm there. Oh my gosh, she's got a lot.
Okay.
The Rundown, Walking Tall, Get Smart. Is he in
That
Get
is
Smart?
great. He is great in Get Smart. It's a side part. He plays another.
Oh,
Yeah,
have I seen that?
you've seen it.
Faster. Is that a Fast and the Furious? Gridiron Gang. G.I. Joe.
It seems like we should have had Joe on the podcast
I
talking
know.
about The Rock.
I'm
He's
really
actually seen
impressed.
a lot more of his
Yeah.
movies. We really like the idea of The Rock, though.
Maybe.
Joe.
I think we've experienced more about The Rock that we like than fall,
Yeah, that's true.
than the season of fall. That's a throwback joke.
I think this is your coworker, Amber Smith.
Yes.
She loved The Rock since his wrestling days. I
Right.
like that. I don't know Amber very well,
Yeah.
but I just like that she has been she's been a huge follower of The Rock,
Mm-hmm.
and she's a big WWE fan.
From back in the day.
Does she ever wrestle in the classroom, body slam the kids, or get up on a desk? And
Not that I've seen, but, I don't know what she does when I'm not there.
that's true.
And then my mom posted a picture of a cute little owl in a sun hat. I don't know. And then she said she didn't mean to post the GIF, but oh my gosh, it was really funny to me.
Yeah. So thanks for that feedback, Laura. That's a very nice owl.
He's dandy.
All right. So great feedback. We had a great episode, and hopefully the Rock does eventually hear about this podcast and listen to it, and he becomes a fan.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty close. He loves everything, so he probably loved this too.
Good. Amber, thanks for covering that feedback with us. That was great. What is making you happy right now?
Hey, it's back. I don't know if anybody noticed besides my two brothers, but we didn't have a What's Making Us Happy segment in the last episode. And both my brothers mentioned that they missed it, and they were worried about our
What's
happiness
making
level.
me happy is the constant critique from your brothers. So
it just
thanks.
shows that they're listening.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's nice to know that somebody's listening and
I was
cares.
just kidding.
He's joking. Yeah.
So what's making me happy right now? Ready Player One, the book.
Clarification there.
Yeah, so last night, Amber and I went and saw Ready Player One, Steven Spielberg movie based on the Ernest Cline movie Ready Player One, and we were very excited about it. I thought that I had tempered my expectations about how good the movie could be because it was definitely one of my favorite books that I've read over the last couple years. I actually listened to it twice on Audible, and there's just so many great beats and scenes and things going on in that movie. In the book, and the movie just as they had to change it. And I don't want to be one of those haters that says the movie was terrible and the book was great and they ruined it. It's just different, and it made me think how great the book was.
I see. You've read the book twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I only read it once. It was a while ago. And so all the discrepancies didn't stick out to me quite as much. So I thought the movie was decent.
Yeah.
I gave it a higher rating than you.
There was some parts of it that were great in, I think, understanding, that it's different, it's not the same. And there's a bunch of stuff that I did like about it. I loved all the visuals, and I think knowing what the storyline is helped me to follow the story. It felt a little bit choppy in the movie.
Yeah, I wonder how confusing it would be to somebody who didn't know the storyline.
Yeah, and so, but Ernest Cline worked on it, and he gave it the thumbs up. So
yeah, we would recommend the book, especially to people who grew up with the 80s as part of their
absolutely.
their culture. It actually takes place in the future, but it involves a lot of 1980s pop culture.
Yeah, so fantastic book. Makes me very happy. I might just listen to it again.
Aw.
Yeah.
Well, great.
Amber, what's making you happy?
Well, it's a little bit of a guilty pleasure, I suppose, but I've been catching up on a show called The Hills. Anybody who isn't aware, this aired on MTV in the mid-aughts, I guess you call it, 2004 to 2009, about there. So the reason I'm going back to watch this weird quasi-reality show from that time period is because on Instagram I follow Spencer Pratt, and he was recommended by another quasi-celebrity that I followed, and he is just really funny, and he hand feeds hummingbirds, and he does jujitsu, and he drinks espresso all day long, and he and his wife Heidi recently had a baby, and they have pictures of their baby and their 4 dogs, and I just find their life very entertaining, and so I watch that on Instagram, watch it on Snapchat, and I've enjoyed getting to know them. Well, occasionally they would mention their reality TV background. I kind of remember from the early 2000s hearing about Spidey. They were like the first celebrity couple that you put their names together, even before Brangelina, I believe. Maybe not, but Spencer and Heidi were Spidey. So I went back to watch how their relationship started. I mean, more or less, because it's a scripted reality TV show probably, but it turned out he was like a horrible person.
No.
He's horrible. He's a horrible. He's like a probably mentally abusive, horrible person. And I just couldn't reconcile that with the Spencer I know now. Well, season 5, he's starting to turn around.
Oh.
And I'm really glad.
Whoa. You're on season 5? Amber.
I'm not recommending anybody else watch the show. There's not that much redeeming about it. But I just had to see, like, oh no, what happened? How did that Spencer become the Spencer that I know? So anyway.
Wow.
He's starting to turn around.
I can't, but I am shocked.
There's only 6 seasons total. I just feel like I need to finish it.
Gotta finish it. How's it going to end? Wow. All right. Well, Amber, that's so great. I'm glad that's making you happy.
Great? Good.
It's great. That's what this is all about. What's making you happy? The hills. The hills are alive with the sound of music. Is that a
Kind
thing?
of like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So awesome. Well, good. Segment 1. Our own pet history.
Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
Well, I'll start. I just want to mention this off the bat here. My mom, when she heard that we were talking about pets, she wrote in and said this: "I'm a bit concerned about your pet episode. I do hope you have thought of something nice to say about your live-in pet Rosie, despite her obvious handicap."
I think your mom knows about our overall feeling about pets.
Yeah, and overall, I am indifferent
Yeah.
to pets, and so she thought the episode could come across as being negative towards pets, or maybe even negative towards pet owners, and that is not our goal whatsoever.
I mean, let's just see how it shakes out. But we are planning to mention Rosie.
Yeah, we will mention Rosie, and just so I think that lets people know where we're coming from. We're not like pet enthusiasts coming to talk about pets. Mm-hmm. We are pet observers that have pets in our home, not of our own choosing, and we are going to discuss that there are people out there that like those pets.
There sure are.
Mm-hmm. And we're glad you're there, because this world takes all kinds.
That's right.
So my history of pets is interesting, and we had a variety of pets growing up. When I lived in Delton as a little guy, we had a number of dogs. I cannot think of a single one of their names.
This is when you lived in a house that was carved into a hill.
It was an underground house built into the side of a hill. It wasn't literally underground, but that's what we called it.
I love it.
The underground house. Because you could walk on the roof.
Yeah.
Just walk up the hill onto the roof.
That's awesome.
And we did, however, have some cool stuff. I had a pony. His name was Lucky.
I had a pony. That's a Seinfeld. Anybody get it? No.
And I was training that pony to be, I don't know what I was training it to be.
Yeah, what
rideable.
were you training it?
I was training it so
Rideable?
that you could ride it. It was a little pony. And then one day I came home from school, and Mom will probably say I'm remembering this wrong, but they had sold the pony out from under me without telling me, probably to a glue factory in order to, I don't know, pay the mortgage or something.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's probably a desperate financial situation, I would guess.
So, but I liked Lucky the pony. My mom had a pony named Lady that I would ride sometimes, and that was really, really fun.
What a magical childhood.
She had a mean horse that I couldn't get too close to because he bit.
Yeah.
We had some goats. We would milk the goats, and that was fun. And we had some chickens. And there was this one time that my job as a little guy was to go out and feed the chickens. Mm-hmm. And one morning I got up, went out to feed the chickens, and I come running back, and I was like, Dad, all the chickens are sleeping.
Uh-oh.
And we go back, and it looks like a fox or a raccoon had gotten into the hen house and killed every single last one of them.
Oh, no.
And that was the end of our chickens. So.
And you had chicken every night for the next 3 weeks straight.
So I remember chopping the heads off of chickens, and they would, because
Do you think you actually chopped them, or you just watched it?
No, I don't think so.
You were pretty little.
I was really little. And so they would flop around, because that's what chickens do. And they would roll down the hill and slam into the barn, the side of the barn, and that was very exciting. And sometimes we would boil water and dip dead chickens, to get the feathers off. And so, so pretty good pet memories.
It's kind of a wild, nature-y kind of childhood that you had.
Yeah, it was crazy. We were practically farmers without a farm. What about you, Amber? What was your pet history looking like?
Similar. No, it wasn't. I lived in a suburb in Portage, and we, at one point, got an exotic pet enclosure called a fishbowl. And I got something called a fantail goldfish.
How many gallons was your fishbowl?
A 1.5.
Okay, so a little guy.
Just little. I got a fantail goldfish. Did you catch that? Fantail.
Saltwater?
No.
Fantail.
They were special.
Was it?
Yeah.
What color was it?
It was gold.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, she was so swishy and pretty with her swishy fantail that I named her Jordache, just like my coolest jeans.
Wow.
I think
Sounds very
after she
special.
died, we had some regular goldfish as well, but I don't recall their names.
Could you not afford the fancy goldfish, or was it too painful?
I mean, probably, yeah. It's probably just going back. It was only one Jordache. Couldn't go back.
Yeah,
to
you can't
that.
go back. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they're more fragile. Maybe that's why she passed.
Yeah, I imagine that goldfish don't have a very long life expectancy.
True.
So,
True.
did you just flush it?
I don't recall.
Seems like your family is the kind of family that's going to have some pretty significant ceremony of some
I
sort.
know. It does seem like that, but I can't remember. Didn't maybe I blocked it out.
So you guys didn't have a dog or a cat or
No,
anything?
that is it.
That was it.
Yeah.
One goldfish.
Well, I think my brothers each had a goldfish as well.
No
and
hamsters. No.
No.
I had 2 white albino rats.
Wow, 2.
Irving won. Well, it was just Irving, and I had him for a while. He must have died. And then later on, I got another white albino rat, and I called him Irving too.
Did you call him that because you just couldn't think of another name, or because you wanted to replace Irving, or because you thought it was funny?
Well, I think Irving is a funny name.
It is.
And you know what, Amber? Remember when we used to work at Little Caesars, and I would just eat a pepperoni slice every day?
Yeah.
And you'd be like, oh,
There's
you're just
literally
eating
a
the same thing?
smorgasbord of toppings available.
Yeah, and I would just eat a pepperoni slice. Or like, remember when I would get a pair of shoes I like, and then those would wear out, and I would just get the exact same pair of shoes? I think it's that.
Kind of like that.
It's just like, this is
Irving.
what is comfortable, and I
Mark,
like it.
I have rats named Irving.
Yeah, so that's it. What I like about this episode, Amber, is that it's not interesting so much, but people... But we're letting people inside our minds.
Ooh, you're right.
Into the mindscape
Our
of Mark
psyche.
and Amber.
Our pet psyche.
Yeah.
It's not
So-
interesting.
So welcome to our minds.
Our mind palace.
Our mind palace.
So I was thinking to myself, once we got married, we have not been a pet family. But when I started
Correct.
thinking of all the pets that have lived in the same under the same roof as us, we actually have quite a few.
Yes. And
So when
none of them were our choice, right?
No.
Okay.
Well, one of them, I think.
Oh.
Sort of. So when we first got married, we had an apartment by ourselves for a while, and then we ended up getting pregnant with Emma pretty early on in the marriage. And so in order for me to quit working, we moved in with your mom out in the country. And I think at that time, she still had her dog Emmett. Does that sound familiar?
That's very possible. I remember Emmett.
And then also either right away or shortly thereafter, your brother John's dog Spencer lived with us in that house.
Spencer.
So we had a couple dogs there. Emmett, I don't think, lasted too long after we were there. But Spencer was there for quite a while. The only real thing I remember about Spencer, he was kind of a...
Big dog, black and white. And one time he jumped on Emma, and I chased him all over the yard trying to...
Yeah, Emma was probably like between a year and a half, just kind of toddling around.
Yeah.
And he kind of pinned her down and put his head on her skull, but not his teeth on her skull. I think in a playful way, but it's real scary.
Yeah. I was unhappy with that. But, I don't know what happened to Spencer, but...
Oh, this one was by our choice. So one time, was it you or your mom, somebody at work had a cat that they needed somebody to take in. And I remember you and I talking about it on the phone. I was at home at the farmhouse, and you called, and you were like, somebody's got this cat, or my mom knows somebody who has this cat. What do you think? And we agreed to take in this cat. It was like a kitten they'd found in their barn or something, an older kitten.
Part of me thinks that possibly there was a stray cat at Norandex when I worked there.
Yeah,
that would have been
maybe.
in the right time frame, and maybe I took it home. I guess I wiped these things from my memory. I don't remember
Yeah.
a cat being there.
So for me, it was like, oh, wow, it's my first chance with a furry pet. Like I always thought a cat would be fun. Let's try it. I mean, we're living in under someone else's roof, and we've got 2 babies, but why not?
Why not have
Not a cat?
Huh. Interesting. What happened to that cat?
Well, it had a baby that Ben still has.
Really?
Yeah. So anyway, we got this. We didn't know anything about cats. We had to figure out litter and everything. So this cat was not fixed. And so it went into heat and made all these really weird and loud noises. And so we named her Xena after Xena, warrior princess, because she would make like a loud warrior cry.
Wow.
Trying not to hurt the microphone.
That was real good. That was, I don't know what that was, but no, I love that.
Kind of like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that cat ended up escaping, getting pregnant, had a kitten. I don't know what happened to all the other kittens or that cat, but Ben still has maybe
That's where
White Paw.
White Paw.
One of those kittens.
Man,
I think.
completely forgot about that. Wow, good memory, Amber.
Thank you. So, yeah, Xena, Spencer, and Emmett were our pets while we lived with your mom. Then we had our own house for a little while with 0 pets. Mm-hmm. And then we bought this house, and we bought it kind of in conjunction with your mom. She has a whole apartment downstairs.
Yep.
We all moved in pet-free.
That's right. And I remember one time Mom came home, and often she will come and say, hello, how's it going after work? And this time she came in and went directly downstairs without saying anything. And that's not a problem, but something seemed off about it. And I went downstairs to see kind of what's going on. And she had a dog down there. and I was like, whoa, I never said that you could get a dog. And she's like, I don't need your permission. I'm the mom. And we got a dog.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah. So was it Rosie that she snuck in, or was it Chloe?
It was Chloe.
Because Chloe, I remember meeting in the driveway. She's a rescue dog. Are we going to take her in? Is she a good fit? I mean, you still had that conversation where she didn't have to ask you for permission to get Chloe. So Chloe was at the house, was established. We'd had Chloe for a while, and then your mom comes in, doesn't say goodbye, doesn't say hello, sneaks downstairs.
Really, that was the second dog.
And we hear some kind of whimpering type sounds and stuff, I feel like. And there was the sneaky part, was getting in the second dog into the house.
Oh, I just conflated them together, apparently.
Yeah, I think that's how it went. So,
all right, I believe you.
So, yeah, then we had the two dogs. Sweet Chloe passed away after a couple of years. She had a respiratory issue. And then we still have Rosie.
Yes.
Rosie lives in our basement. Rosie's a dachshund.
Rosie.
She's very cute. She's got a kink in her tail.
Yeah.
And she's nervous.
She is a little bit nervous.
She's got a nervous bladder. She's also a rescue dog.
Yeah. She's very nice-ish.
She is. She's definitely not mean.
Oh, yeah. She's definitely not mean.
You have to be
that's
careful
for sure.
if you look at her too strongly or try to approach her while she's on carpet.
So now we also have a cat living here. My brother is living here at the moment, and he brought his cat with him. So we've got Phil.
Yeah, Phil is long-haired cat, gets kind of like mats in his fur a lot. Then he has to be shaved down to almost bald. And then he gradually grows those mats back.
Yeah.
He's kind of pretty in between.
Sure.
He's very indifferent. He's like you would expect a cat to be. I suppose he likes men a lot better, probably because he belonged to your brother alone for many years.
Yeah, and then our most recent acquisition, Molly, our youngest daughter, wanted a pet, and for some reason I said, yes, that's fine, feeling like she could take care of it.
She was so excited about it.
She was, and when I was like, all right, you got to do this, this, and this to get ready for the pet, and she did, and she paid for most of it herself, and the cage and all that. And so now we have a cute little mouse living in Molly's room named Toberto, and she's really bonded with that little guy, and he climbs into her palm, and she plays with him and pets him. And, yeah, he's cute. And so we got a pet mouse now.
Mice smell.
Yeah, they do.
I was reading, we were having our cleaner's cage more and more often because we could just smell him all the time. And I read that if you clean a mouse's cage, he then feels the need to spread his scent all over the cage all over again. Because I just couldn't understand. She would clean it, and I would say, well, is the soiled bedding still in your room? Like, you just cleaned it, and your room smells terrible. It's because he was specifically spreading his scent all around the cage.
It's a pretty fun pet.
Yeah. But the thing is, we have had another rodent. We bought a hamster for Emma. This is our last pet story, if the segment's getting a little long. When Emma was probably 7 or 8, she really wanted a dog. But we didn't want to deal with a dog or a cat. So we thought we would surprise her and get her a hamster. In my mind, that's like so much more playable with than a fish. So it'd be great. I think she liked it, but it's not like a dog or a cat.
Nope,
Doesn't
definitely
come
not.
when you call it. You mostly have to keep it in its cage. We did get a little ball it could roll around in. It was kind of fun. She would play with it sometimes, but it wasn't like a big exciting thing.
Yeah.
I did a lot of care for Cuddles.
Yeah.
A lot of cage cleaning, but even, I mean, you could go for a couple weeks and be like, oh yeah, I guess I should probably clean that cage. But with that mouse,
No, yeah.
smell it all the time.
Yeah.
So one story, cleaning Cuddle's cage. I would put him on the island in the kitchen. I would need to take him out of his cage so I could clean it. So I would put him into his ball, and the ball had like a stationary feature where he could just run in the ball. So I'm cleaning the cage. I've got my back to him. I turn around to get him out of the ball, as I've done dozens of times before. He's not in there. The opening to the ball had slipped a little bit, and there was enough of a hole for him to get out. He's not on the kitchen island, which isn't that big. Like, oh man, that's kind of a long drop to the floor. Did he hurt himself? I'm looking on all the sides of the table, under the table. Like, would he have broken his back? Maybe he got down and ran somewhere else. So I'm looking around the house, looking behind the couch. I mean, he could literally be anywhere. How am I ever going to find this hamster? And then after I looked everywhere and thought, well, we're just going to have to hope he appears, I thought, well, the island, at the end of the island is the garbage can. What if he had run off the end of the island and just happened to fall into the garbage can? Well, I'd already taken the garbage out because I had all the old bedding in it, the hamster bedding, and I just stuck it on the porch because it was cold out and I hadn't gotten my shoes on to take it all the way to the garbage. So I'm like, man, I mean, what are the odds he's even in there? There's many places to fall off the island that are not the garbage, but if he'd fallen in the garbage, then he could be in there and it's still on the front porch. He could have chewed a hole in the bag and be out in the wild and we'd never see him again. I think I actually got a few tears in my eyes at this point. Poor little Cuddles out there in the cold. So I open the front door. I don't see any holes chewed in the bag. I open the garbage bag and I just can't tell what's in there. It's very full. And so I get the recycling bin and I dump the garbage into there. Now here's the thing. We have a fireplace. I think I've cleaned the fireplace once ever, and it was that day. So there's ashes in there. We had a whole chicken early the night before, so there's a chicken carcass. I've probably made a whole chicken 3 times in my life. That was one of the times. And old hamster bedding in this garbage. Ashes, chicken carcass, old hamster bedding. I dump it in the recycling bin. I don't see anything. Nothing's moving. I'm kind of pawing through it thinking, this is ridiculous. He's probably under the couch somewhere. I should be inside looking for him. And I get to the corner of the recycling bin and I see this like hovering mass of gelatinous ash just kind of shivering in the corner of the recycling bin, and it's Cuddles. I found him. So I brought him inside and washed him. I mean, you don't wash hamsters, but I washed him off because he's covered with gross. And he lived for quite a while after that.
Wow.
So that was quite an adventure. It was sweet. Cuddles.
Cuddles savior. Good job, Amber.
I could have just taken that garbage out. We would have looked for him every night in the house and never found him.
What happened to him?
He would have froze to death in the garbage.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I must have been at work during that.
Yeah.
Excitement. So awesome. So yeah, there you go. There's our history with pets. We've had a number of them for being pet indifferent. So segment 2, Enslaved by Ducks.
Yeah. So we decided we needed a topic for a podcast. We're like, let's read a book together and then discuss that, or maybe that would lead us to a topic. And I came up with this book because I'd read it already 7 or 8 years ago, and I just remember liking it, and I thought there'd be a lot of funny things to discuss. So I convinced Mark to read it or listen to it, and then I reread it as well. And it's called Enslaved by Ducks by Bob Tarte. He lives in Michigan. He kind of lives between Allegan and Grand Rapids. I think Lowell was where he lived. Yep. At one point in his book, he refers to Kalamazoo and said it's about an hour away, so he lives about an hour away from us. He kind of reminds me of Dave Barry. I definitely don't laugh out loud as much at him as I do Dave Barry, but he has this observational humor kind of thing that I like. So we read it. What were your overall thoughts?
Okay, first of all, I think that saying that it's Dave Barry-esque, that kind of helps me to go, because I was reading it while listening to it on Audible, and I was thinking, why does Amber like this book? I couldn't figure it out. I finished the book, and I was like, I just don't get it. And, but yeah, so that kind of Dave Barry kind of humor, I get that. So I'm listening to it, And Bob and his wife Linda, she decides to get a rabbit. It all starts with
just
she
a rabbit.
wants to get a rabbit, and he begrudgingly allows it. What we really learn about Bob is that he is very weak-willed.
Yes.
When it comes to his wife. It seems like she could say just about anything, and he'd grumble about it and then do it.
Yes.
So they get this rabbit, and that kind of starts things off. But this rabbit is wandering around their house and chewing on the
electrical cords
and the baseboards, and then they get some birds pretty quickly, and the birds like chew on the lamps, and they fly around, and I'm just like, I just can picture I'm just driving down the road with this kind of look on my face, like that house must be so gross and so dirty. And then they'd get another animal that would live in the house, and they would have to separate it, and it just is like this snowball effect of getting more and more animals that lived in their house. And
Mark's face
and
right
I'm
now.
just like, what are you doing? Why would you do this? And I think what it is the reason that I'm not a pet person, Amber, is because I'm very selfish and I am very lazy. And so I don't want to take care of something else that demands my attention all the time. Like, I just want, let me sit down, let me just kind of do my thing. I want to play a video game. I want to watch a TV show, whatever. And I don't want to. And it's because I got to take care of these kids. Less so now because they're getting bigger. They tend to take care of themselves, but that's kind of my reward, right? Like,
there's so much better interaction, it seems, with kids than with pets. Like they can really give back the attention and the love and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess people say pets too.
Yeah.
My mom's dog, Pepsi, is very sweet. She gives a lot of love. But it's different than a kid.
Yeah, it's definitely different than a kid. So that was my big takeaway. They must have a very dirty, smelly house. What was your big takeaway, Amber?
Well, I think that I'm just kind of in awe the entire time, just thinking like, wow, these people are so different than me. Mm-hmm. I think the fact that he is kind of reluctant to take in the animals, like that part of me I can associate with, because I would also be reluctant. And so then watching how he adapts to it and how he gradually falls in love with all these crazy creatures, I just kind of like that.
Yeah, okay, so here's the thing, Amber. He is reluctant, but that in there somewhere he wants to be part of this whole animal situation.
Yeah, he will say,
at least
even
eventually.
if they're driving out to look at yet another animal that he's swearing they're not going to take home, he'll say part of him was kind of interested in another parrot or whatever. So, yeah.
And there was a part of the book where I think he was maybe talking to his psychiatrist or something, because he was partly crazy. And that there's something about the routine of taking care of the animals. And currently, with my job and with, running kids back and forth from things, and with going to school up at GRTS, I don't have a lot of time. I'm kind of running back and forth. And so there is something about the idea of like, just being at home. I'm going to go feed the ducks or whatever. Like that kind of routine that is kind of simple, that is maybe not monotonous. Well, probably monotonous.
Yeah.
But just like, this is just the thing I do. Like, it's getting a little bit nicer outside. I'm looking forward to mowing the lawn, because there's this time where you're just out there. You usually mow the lawn when it's nice out, and like just being out, working in the yard a little bit, it makes you feel like you're accomplishing something, but it's still relaxing, and you can just kind of putter around. So I think there's something there that would be good.
I think so too. I think he specifically mentions he deals a little bit with depression and anxiety, and the idea of knowing what each day holds, how he's going to start each day, and how he has to move through these different chores. Mm-hmm. It's probably similar to living on a farm or gardening or something else that is kind of like living things moving around you that you need to take care of and adapt your life to.
Yeah.
But I think maybe we're just so busy that we don't have space for that.
Yeah. And
right now.
So much of my life is talking to people, being with people. Like, to take care of animals, it seems like you could finally I can just relax, and I don't have to put on I don't have to put on my pastor out face. I'm not faking it. I'm not it's just like you just have to there's something, when you're engaging with people, you have to be pleasant and nice and engage with people. And sometimes it's
he is pleasant and nice at home too.
Yeah. And you just want to be like, I just want to kind of detox and just relax a little bit.
Yeah.
And it seems like you could do that with some animals.
Yeah, I always thought that I didn't want a dog because I was afraid of the amount of need that it would have, and I don't want to have to feel bad about leaving it at home, and I don't want to have to worry that I haven't given enough attention. So I thought, a cat would be perfect because cats just kind of want to hide under the bed anyway, and they don't need. And that's mostly how it's been having Phil in our house. However, he's getting a little bit more used to me, and he does tend to think that I'm going to feed him. I have fed him things before, so that's probably why he thinks that. But he just, he's kind of needy too, and I don't really want that.
Here's one crazy thing that happened. It was later in the book, Amber, and they live in Grand Rapids or outside of Grand Rapids, and there's apparently some park somewhere that's mostly frozen over, and there's a duck and a goose, and they spend, and somebody else, multiple people spend hours and entire evenings of their life trying to capture these ducks or this duck and this goose before the pond freezes over. And I'm just like, I could never care about that. Like,
I know,
they're
I
just
thought
gonna
that too.
fly away or walk away or
like they
get
know
eaten
what
by
they're
somebody.
doing. They're wild animals. They will probably figure it out.
Yeah, and so if you have to take care of every wounded or lonely animal out there, it's like, hey, you're just going to end up.
Yeah, there's another point where they have a pigeon that they're just sure it used to be a pet, so they capture it and try to take care of it and bring it in their house, and finally they're like, I think maybe he was just a wild pigeon after all. Let's let him go outside.
Yeah.
You think so?
And they raised those starlings babies that sounded horrible. You got to feed them every 2 hours, and it just sounded terrible. And they're just spilling this gross food all over their house. And then they just let them go into the wild, and it's like, where'd those starlings come from?
I'm assuming something happened to the mother. Somebody rescued the nest.
That's how nature is.
That is how nature is. Yeah, it's hard to understand caring about the wild animals that they're bringing in, because I do figure. And sure enough, I mean, after weeks of trying to rescue those animals on the pond, they finally get the duck, who I do think had an issue and couldn't fly, and the goose just flies away. Everybody's been concerned. Oh, this poor goose! What's she gonna do when it freezes over? She just flew away. Oh, goodness sakes.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I was hoping, here's my last kind of point about the book. I was hoping that at the end, it would kind of culminate in him saying, this is why animals are great. But really, it was just like, I've spent such an incredible amount of money and time and energy. The amount of veterinarian bills that they would pour into these animals that are
x-rayed,
definitely dying.
Wild turkeys taking multiple trips for antibiotics.
Oh, I'm just like, I cannot even fathom this. And so,
he ends it saying he's really happy. He's looking around at all of his multiple pens. He's got to have so many different duck pens in the backyard because
so many of them don't like each other.
7 ducks that can't be in the same pen with each other, and he's got to rotate the house birds so they're in cages at different times. Yeah, but I think he ends up saying he's happy.
He's happy.
A couple of notes I put about it. Well, my favorite story was about Hazel the turkey. So they had 4 turkeys to start with. One of them just liked to lay down. I thought that was funny. They thought he was dead, but he just liked to lay down. Anyway, 4 turkeys they couldn't tell apart. One got killed. They couldn't figure out how one time. Then another one, they came out and its head was all black and hot. And they really thought somebody set fire to the head of their turkey. They were looking around for like a lighter and matches and stuff. But turned out one of the other turkeys had just pecked it really bad, and it got infected and picked her in the eye. So
gross.
She had this huge black scab over her head for a really long time, and they nursed her back to health in their basement. They thought she was going to die, and she didn't die, and it's kind of a neat story. And he talks about the moment when she can finally see well enough to be let back out in the yard, and how that was one of the happiest moments of his life, and how he just kind of like shook his head at how amazed he was at how happy that made him. So I think he's happy.
Yeah, he's happy.
We might not be happy with that life, but... And then at the very end, he talks about how an animal can tell when you're just being nice to it. He was always nice to the animals. He always went out of his way to care for them. And then when he finally would let them into his heart, he said, when you really open your heart, they could tell the difference between just being nice and when you really cared about them. So that's probably true.
Yeah. So I think if I think it was well written. I think Bob Tarte is humorous, and I think many people would probably really like that book. So if you're a pet person and you like those kind of things, I think probably most people would like this book.
Yeah, he wrote one about cats called Kitty Cornered.
Yeah, and
another one.
I ultimately I enjoyed the book. It was easy for me to finish, easy to listen to. I just could not get my mind into his headspace. So
yeah.
So there you go.
So yeah, let us know if you end up checking it out and tell us what you think.
Yeah, we would love to know your opinions on pets. I'm guessing most of our listeners are like, horses are crazy.
Pets are amazing.
They're
I couldn't
the best
imagine
thing.
my life without my dog.
Yeah, and we love you, and we love your pets, and we're glad. We just want to know. Yeah, let us know kind of your stories. What's your history with pets? What do you think about having a yard full of ducks and geese and turkeys and pigeons and?
Or what was the crazy story when you were like, oh man, what did I get myself into? This dog just chewed up my tiara.
Yeah, that would be a great feedback question.
Yeah.
Tell us your crazy pet stories.
Yeah,
So.
I want to hear it.
Segment 3. Top 5 pop culture pets. All right. This is fun, Amber.
I like top
we
fives.
like talking about top 5s. We like talking about pop culture. Do Spidey have any pets?
They have 4 dogs.
Get out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see if I can name them. Castle, Ninja, Dolly. Oh, I can't. Oh, I almost had it. I can't remember it.
Oh, disappointing.
Isn't it?
Yeah. All right, so we're going to go through this, talk about our favorite fictional pets, and Amber, why don't you give us a start?
Okay. So there are a lot. So I just kind of picked some that I had like a really poignant memory of, or some that have influenced my feelings about pets in general. So my number 5 pop culture pet is Tiger. That was the Brady Bunch family's dog.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So in the episode I specifically remember, actually aired in 1969. I had no idea it was on for so many years before I was even born. Because I would not have even watched it until I was probably 5 or 6.
Absolutely.
So it was, I knew I was watching reruns, I guess, but I had no idea how old of reruns. So it was the one where Jan thinks she's allergic to Tiger. And it was in the very first season because the families hadn't been together that long. And she was sneezing. They first thought she was allergic to her dad, Mike, her stepdad. Because every time she was around him, she's sneezing. Then they identified it's the dog. And everybody's just devastated. And the whole family's trying to figure out how they can keep the dog. But Jan feels terrible, but they're going to have to get rid of him. Well, it turns out it's just a new dog shampoo. And I'll tell you what, every time I have a weird rash, every time there's a preschooler that's like, I don't know if they're allergic to something, I'm always like, did you get a new pet shampoo? Like, that's the first thing that comes to my head because of this episode of the Brady Bunch. So it really stuck with me.
Yeah.
I think I just felt really bad for these kids, and I was empathetic towards them, even though I didn't have my own pet to mourn.
Yeah. Not until Jordache passed on.
Yeah, nobody was allergic to Jordache I was aware of.
Interesting. So I was a big fan of the Brady Bunch as well.
Loved it.
I can barely picture the dog in my brain, so I wouldn't have remembered they had one. So good. Tiger.
Yeah, it was more the allergy issue that I remember, but yeah, his name was Tiger.
So he's your 5th favorite pop culture pet. That's what you're telling me.
It's the one that came to mind.
Okay.
It's an influential pet in my pop culture history.
Okay, so the only reason this one is number 5 for me and is not number 1 is because I'm not positive it's a pet.
Okay.
So I was thinking about great animals in pop culture and sidekicks and that kind of thing.
Okay.
And so do you remember Pinky? Pinky from Pinky and the Brain?
Sure.
And
That's
so
the little one.
The dumb one.
Oh, the dumb one.
The brain is the little smart one.
Oh, yeah.
Pinky was the tall, slender, dumb one. And so my number 5 is Pinky. Not really a pet, but an animal.
Sure.
And a sidekick. So I felt like it almost fit. This is why he's so
and
low.
The juxtaposition of the high intelligence and low intelligence, it did kind of...
Exactly.
He never knew what their big plan was.
Do you
take
remember,
over the world.
Exactly. We're about to take over the world. Do you remember their song? Pinky and the Brain. We're Pinky and the Brain. One is a genius, the other's insane.
I do remember it. I didn't know I did.
So, and the great thing about Pinky is that in every single episode, Brain would say, "Are you thinking what I'm thinking, Pinky?" and Brain would respond, or Pinky would respond with something like, "I think so, Brain, but where are we going to find a duck and a hose at this hour?" Right? And so I just pulled up a couple.
Over at Bob Tarte's yard. He's got lots of ducks and hoses.
So I just pulled up a couple of these because I thought they were funny.
Oh, good.
All right. So what else did he say? Yeah, Brain, but where are we going to find rubber pants in our size?
Oh, my gosh. I feel like I remember that one.
That was so good. I think so, Brain, but balancing a family and a career, that's just all too much for me. Well, let's just do two more. I think so, Brain, but burlap chafes me so. Let's see. I think so, Brain, but if you called them sad meals, kids wouldn't buy them.
Oh, my gosh. So that's like... Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Are you thinking what I'm thinking, Brain?
We should change them to sad meals.
I think so, Brain, but me and Pippi Longstocking, I mean, what would the children look like? And so that was part of one of the shorts in Animaniacs, which is just a fantastic cartoon from our younger years.
Yeah.
And so there you go. My number 5, Pinky.
Awesome. Number 4. My number 4 pop culture pet is...
Your number 4 favorite pop culture pet is...
Santa's Little Helper.
From The Simpsons.
Again, because of a really memorable episode.
Okay.
I thought I wrote down when it aired, but I did not. I wrote down the letter B. That doesn't mean anything to me.
Boy.
So because I think about this episode all the time when I'm around pets. It was Bart had to train Santa's Little Helper. He had to take him through obedience school, and if he didn't pass, he was going to have to get rid of him. And he just was the stupidest dog. He couldn't learn anything. And so it got to the point, I watched the clip today where he was saying goodbye to him. Ooh. Sorry, I touched the microphone. He was saying goodbye to Santa's Little Helper. He's really sad. He's out in his yard, and he's talking to him, and he's saying, "I just wish that you would have learned to sit." And then all of a sudden he sits. And he's like, "Whoa." And he talks to him some more, and he's like, "Lay down." And he lays down. So then they show you the inside of Santa's Little Helper's brain, and he's hearing, blah, 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 sit. And then he said, blah, 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 lay down, blah, 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 shake. And I just thought to myself, that's what happens with dogs in real life. And I'm convinced it does.
I'm sure it does.
Because they don't understand everything that we say, but they can learn certain things. You know, if you say the word walk around my mom's dog, it gets really excited. Mm-hmm. She gets really excited that she's going to go for a walk. So I think that that's how it works. And I just find myself recalling that frequently when I'm around animals.
Interesting. It makes me think of how in Rampage, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has trained George, the white ape, to communicate.
Sign language.
With sign language.
That's going to be an awesome movie.
He might be my favorite pet. Number 1, George. Of course, the wolf has wings.
Of course.
Awesome. Well, we love Santa's Little Helper. Haven't watched that show in a long time.
No, I cannot believe it's still on.
Oh, ridiculous. My number 4, Scooby-Doo.
Really?
He is a classic.
Yes.
So it's like 1979 or something that show came out.
Wow.
It was on, the original was the good episodes. There's like 14 or 15 real episodes, and then
that's it.
Yeah, and then they've been making. Those are the ones with the Globetrotters. That's the one.
That's
where
what you consider good. I would have thought those would be the Jump the Shark.
No, that's what the show. No, that's what the show was. Like it was this. Like when they are. Like they go to the carnival, the haunted. Anyway, they do.
Were
a bunch
they
of great
real bad scary things, or was it always just an old man in a mask?
It was always an old man in a mask.
Okay.
It's only the newer ones that they're actually hunting actual supernatural.
Okay.
So yeah, so the classics are always just an old man. I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't
for you pesky kids. All right.
And so Scooby-Doo was Shaggy's loyal companion, and Scooby-Doo could inexplicably talk a little bit.
A little bit.
So that kind of goes along with your Santa's Little Helper kind of idea. So he couldn't talk real well, but
yeah, he understood a lot.
He understood
a ton more than
he was
Santa's
real
Little
into
Helper.
sandwiches, just like Shaggy. And I think there is something about that level of pet. What I like about it is that they're together, they're companions, they help each other out. you know that Shaggy's not doing a lot to take care of that dog, and so it's pretty low maintenance relationship.
True.
And he's pretty scaredy cat, but he's always helping solve those crimes and doing what needs to get done.
Loves to eat.
Loves to eat. He loves those Scooby snacks.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is interesting. Do you think that they named Scooby-Doo after the Scooby snacks, or do you think that some dog treat manufacturer somehow thought of Scooby-Doo, the dog, and then named the dog treats after
Are
this
the dog
dog?
treats in the show, it's labeled on the box, Scooby snacks? Or do they just say, you want some Scooby snacks?
Oh, yeah, that could be. Well, if you know, listeners, if it was Scooby Snacks or if that was just their playful pet name for the snacks they gave their dog, let us know.
Yeah, that's a real good question.
It's a real head scratcher. So my number 4, Scooby-Doo.
All right, very good. I have a number 3 now.
Mm-hmm. Your third favorite pop culture dog.
Pet. This one's not a dog.
Oh, exciting.
Garfield.
I hate Mondays.
Exactly. So I love Garfield's attitude. I find it really funny. Yeah.
Yes.
I have a very specific memory.
Of
Very
course.
specific. It has to do with the Garfield cartoon. Remember
The
Garfield
cartoon
and Friends?
or the comic strip?
Well, this is the cartoon, but I did read books and books full of the comic strips. I know he loves lasagna. I know he hates Mondays. I know he thinks Odie is dumb. So, but there was a cartoon. This was aired in 1989, and it was called Garfield and Friends because it would have Garfield at the beginning, and then it would have that farm
Yeah, I like the farm.
with the chick that was still in the egg and everything. That was also funny. So this one, I don't know why it stuck in my head, but I had such a clear memory of it, and I had to Google to try to figure it out. It had to do with Garfield telling you how to be funny. And I Googled that. It probably took me 10 minutes, which isn't that long, but I was so proud of myself for being able to find the clip, and I will put a link in the show notes for
That's the
anybody
kind
who
of-
wants to watch it.
That's the kind of in-depth, hard-hitting research that we're willing to do for this show.
And we're not going to look at The Rock's wrestling history, but I will find this Garfield clip. So in it, he's talking about just the essence of humor and what makes things funny and what doesn't make things funny. And he will continually, he's like putting on slideshows, watching TV. I don't know. He keeps asking somebody to turn the lights on and off. Can somebody get the lights, or can I have the lights? And when he says that, people shove all these flashlights into his face and light bulbs and stuff. And he's like, that's not funny. And then it happens again. Can I lights? And everybody puts the lights in his face. And he's like, it's still not funny. That's not funny. And he talks about other things that are funny. And then eventually he goes, if something, I wrote this down.
Okay.
Garfield quotable quote. If something isn't funny, you just keep doing it and it becomes a running gag. And that is like so much of my humor, is to just keep doing something until it's funny. And I love it when other people do that. I do it myself. I feel like we've trained our kids to an extent to do it.
Is that why
Your
you like my little brother?
is a prime example.
He
Your brother
is.
Ben is perfect at that. I was thinking about what's the thing they always, somebody's reefing. You're reefing on that. Why are you reefing on that? Crab leg. I don't even know what that means, but they say it so much and it gets funnier and funnier every time. So I remembered that and I found the exact clip.
Wow.
It's just like I pictured it. It's 6 minutes long. So I will post that in the show notes.
That's great. And so as you were talking, I was thinking, it's really interesting that Jim Davis, the creator of Garfield, would somehow be trying to tell people how to be funny. Because it seems like he would just be like, don't do what I do.
Oh, no. Well, so I'm Googling. I remembered Garfield saying it's not funny yet, but it will be, or something like that. So I kept Googling Garfield, not funny. Garfield, it's not funny yet. And there's a lot of people who don't think he's funny. A lot of people are like, is something wrong with me? Because I do not find Garfield funny.
No.
Or as I got older, Calvin and Hobbes became funnier and Garfield got worse, or something like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that one cartoon that actually does that really, really well is Family Guy. And
Oh, my gosh, exactly.
And I'm not
No,
saying
no,
you
no.
people should go out there and watch Family Guy. I'm not...
But that's definitely a Seth MacFarlane humor, I think. Yeah.
I
Yes.
remember he fell on the sidewalk and it hurt his knee, and he was just like... it just kept
It goes
going
on and goes on and goes on. I can picture that.
Oh, so good.
So that made a really big impression, that pop culture pet.
Wow. I love that. That's
Thanks.
a good one, Amber. My number 3 was a little guy. You may remember from Beluska Do We Can Too.
Oh, wow.
Blue from Blue's Clues. And when we started watching it, I imagine it was when Emma was a baby.
Yeah.
And we had Classic Steve.
We did have Classic Steve.
And it was this great show where there was one normal human. Everything was animation except for Steve. And he would just invite the kids in, and they would look for clues. And he had this little blue dog named Blue, or was it she?
She.
Yeah. And she had a little friend named Magenta eventually at some point. And
side table drawer.
And remember, here's the mail. It never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, I want to wail. Mail. And it was just a cute little show.
It was super cute.
And I remember getting Emma a little notebook that had the couch or the chair or something on it with big spirals, and she would write clues in that. It was just a fun little show. And I think, when the kids are little, you watch those shows with them, kind of that Dora, time frame in there, I guess.
I think there's a period of time where we didn't have cable, but we had some Blues, probably even VHS, Blues Clues VHS, and so we watched those a lot.
A lot of those. So and so I don't know why he got to number 3 on my list. I just have such fond memories of Blue and watching that with Emma, and it was just a cute show.
I do too.
All the little songs were so good, and I've heard that they are going to restart that show. And so they're looking for a new Steve.
It's going to be a Netflix original. It's going to be like a Stranger Things kind of vibe. I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh, that would be so good.
Blues Clues. In the upside down.
Blue, it looks like Lamp was murdered last night. We got to find the clues.
Follow that bloody footprint.
There'll be a whole different spin on it. So the original, the first episode, Amber, September 8th, 1996. So how old would Emma have been?
-2.
-2.
So it'd been around for a while. That's probably how we had the VHS. It'd been around for a little while. She was born in 98, but it was definitely still airing on live television.
Interesting.
So it was on for a while. And then it switched to that other guy.
Yeah, I can't remember what his name was, but not quite as good, but anytime you switch from the original.
He tried.
Yeah, good job. So there's my number 3, Beluska Do Weekend 2.
I love it. All right, my number 2 favorite pop culture pet, Eddie. I was wondering if you know Eddie from Frasier.
Oh my gosh.
It's the very first one that came to my mind. I was like, well, that's silly because there's probably plenty of other ones. But he just kept coming back. Mm-hmm. And I Googled him and I watched a compilation. And what's really funny is the way that the actors interact with him. I mean,
So he was Frasier's dad's pet?
Yes.
Okay. Because Frasier kind of had our kind of attitude
about pets. Exactly. And I think that's probably part of the thing I really liked. Because one of the first clips that I saw is Eddie just sitting up at the dining room table staring at Frasier. And Frasier can't read his paper because the dog keeps staring at him. And I just appreciated that interaction. And the actors, I can also share this clip in our show notes if you want, but the actors were talking about what it's like to work with Eddie and how he's just like an amazingly trained dog. Wow. He's not just the goofy, will lick your hand and wag his tail, but he's just really well trained, and he'd come and go when he needs to and sit. He just would sit and stare, and it's really funny. I don't know. I think there might be a swear word. I mean, it was a
swear word.
If you're watching it with your little kids, it was on whatever,
not
NBC.
Safe for work.
So it was not like a terrible word. But anyway, in that clip, there might have been something.
Okay.
So
that's really interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did not think of that at all. I guess maybe I was too thinking about like kind of cartoons and that kind of genre.
Pets that can somewhat talk so far as all your pets.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Interesting.
But yeah, I just think, and when I thought of what's a pet on TV that I really liked, and I couldn't figure out why. I mean, that's just a funny show in general.
Frasier's good.
So then when I watched that clip, that sealed the deal. Very funny.
Amber, you've got such a good list. Good job. My number 2 favorite pop culture pet is Cringer / Battle Cat.
I don't know who that is.
Cringer was, Battle Cat was He-Man's companion. Green tiger, orange stripes, had a big saddle that He-Man would ride on him.
Okay.
He-Man, oh my gosh, you don't know. Battle Cat. So there was this TV show in the 80s, the late 80s, called He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
I'm not going to say I wasn't allowed to watch it, but...
Oh, ouch. And it was a very wholesome show. It was kind of a good versus evil kind of thing. And there was this guy, his name was Adam, and he was the Prince of Eternia.
He just raised his eyebrows at me like, that's a biblical name.
And he got a magic sword from this lady, and when he would hold it up in the air and say, by the power of Grayskull, I have the power, and he would turn into He-Man, and he would point the sword at his cowardly green tiger, and he would turn into a super powerful battle cat, and he would ride him around and save Eternia from Skeletor and his minions.
I think maybe your mom saved... I feel like there was a toy of that green tiger floating around.
Oh, definitely.
Not that long ago.
Yeah.
So maybe your mom saved that from your childhood.
Might have saved that. It was probably Ben's. I wasn't really a He-Man action figure collector. It was a little bit past my action figure collecting time, but that show, like, just imagine this. Amber, close your eyes.
They're closed.
And you are a super cool person. Well, you don't have to. You just are a super cool person.
I don't have to use my imagination for that.
And you need to get from point A to point B. What is the coolest way to do that?
A griffin.
No, a green and orange battle tiger.
Okay.
And you were riding it, and it's galloping across the plains of Eternia. And how awesome do you feel? It's like a horse, but better.
I can feel the wind in my hair.
Yeah. Isn't that great?
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and so that was the coolest thing because you rode on it, and he was awesome. There you go.
Right.
My number 2, Battle Cat / Cringer. Cringer, interestingly, Amber, very scared. Kind of like Scooby-Doo. Cringer was a very scaredy little cat. He would run and hide all the time, but when he got blasted with the magical power of Grayskull, he would turn into a Battle Cat. It was very on the nose
in there
names.
that speaks... Yes, it was. Cringing or battle. Something that speaks to a little boy's heart about wanting to be brave and
absolutely
take on the world.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So there you go. My number 2, Cringer / Battle Cat.
Very cool. Nice one. Well, we're up to number 1 now. My number 1 favorite pop culture pet is a new one from a very short-lived TV show. It was just on last year, I believe.
Whoa.
The TV show is called Downward Dog. And the dog was named Martin.
That was fun.
And I liked this one because the whole show, it would go into Martin's head and let you know what he was thinking. And he had a really funny way of expressing himself. But similar to Look Who's Talking, it really made you think, like, what's going on inside of a pet's head? And they're not having all these thoughts. It's probably realistically more like Santa's Little Helper. But I really appreciated this dog's take on life.
You love to get into the animal heads.
I think I do.
That's crazy. You should be an animal psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Probably take a lot of schooling.
Yeah.
Let's not do that. Don't worry about that.
We don't need more school.
I imagine it would pay better than the preschool.
Yeah, probably once you finish.
What wouldn't?
So one episode of Downward Dog that I really enjoyed was one where his owner, Nan, got an automated door for him to leave through the kitchen into the backyard. So when she was at work, he'd be able to let himself out. And he used to sit at the window and dream of going outside. And then all of a sudden, one day, he walked up to the door. And when you get close enough, it just would open. And he thought that he created this opening in the door with his own mind powers. And he was just overwhelmed by the power of his own mind for the whole episode and wondering, kind of scared what else he could accomplish with the power of his mind. And man, it cracked me up. Wow. So unfortunately, they canceled the show, but if you can find it, I would recommend it. It's cute.
That was a great show.
Downward Dog.
Yeah, I watched a couple episodes.
Has nothing to do with yoga, but
good show. All right, you ready for my number 1?
I am ready.
What I think is really interesting is that these lists are I feel like they're very telling. Yeah. This whole show, this whole episode has been so just laying us open like a book.
Maybe it is more appropriate that this was our 20th episode then, because it really gets into us.
Who are Mark and Amber?
It is more of a celebration of us than you would think.
Yeah, so thanks for sticking with us. My number 1, Abu.
Of course,
from Aladdin.
Of course.
Abu is a little monkey that is the sidekick and best friend of Aladdin from the Disney animated film Aladdin. And Abu was a great companion, a great sidekick. Early in the movie, he had to steal to survive. It's not something he wanted to do.
No,
he just had to eat. He was just a street
Gotta
rat.
eat to live.
Gotta eat to live. Gotta steal to eat. Tell you all about it when I got the time. Hey, one jump ahead of the bread line, one swing ahead of the sword. That's still only what I can afford. That's everything. And in Abu, and so there's one scene where they're stealing, and then Aladdin gives his bread to the littler street urchins that are starving, and then Abu begrudgingly does it as well. And then they go to the Cave of Wonders, and Abu again gets them in trouble, trying to steal the jewels and stuff, and causes a big ruckus. But ultimately that worked out because they met the genie. If it wasn't for Abu in that moment, they would have just been killed by Jafar, which would have been just a...
Ah, so you think it's Abu's fault that they're there, but really...
Yeah, he is driving the plot forward the whole time. And then at the very end of the movie, in the big battle, the big final battle with Jafar, Aladdin finally gets back from that snow tundra. I don't know where he got blasted to, but he gets back, and Iago is about to tell Jafar that, oh, look, the heroes are back, but faithful Abu tackles Iago, holding his beak shut and giving Aladdin the time he needs to get in there, and there's a big battle. And so I think that he is really the linchpin of the whole story. He is a faithful little guy. He's got a cute little hat. And I just think he's so much fun. I would love to have a little monkey. No, that's not true.
No.
One time when I was in Morocco, what was that, 10, 12 years ago, we were walking into Marrakesh, into the market, and these guys just grabbed my hat, put another hat and a monkey on my shoulder, and took a picture, and then demanded money. But it kind of had that feel, that kind of like, oh, this is what it's like to have a little monkey.
We're right here in Agrabah right now.
Yeah. So it was a very cool place. They had, snake charmers and things there in Marrakesh. Cool. And and so there's my number one, Abu. Just a great character from a great movie.
I do love Abu. Can you tell me, did the tiger in He-Man, could he also talk a little bit?
Yes.
Wow. All of your creatures could talk a little bit.
So, there we go, friends. We would love to know your, what do you think about our lists? You can get at us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at SegmentsCast, or send us an email, segmentscast@gmail.com.
Absolutely. So we'll be posting some reminders to listen to our episode. That's a great place for you to post. You could just go to our Facebook page or Instagram page and just post anywhere, and we'll see it. But if you see our reminders pop up, then just comment on that, and we will see your feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the feedback that we're looking for specifically, you can leave feedback for anything. We're happy.
Of course.
Anything you want. Just talk to us. We're here, lonely and waiting for just somebody to send something. But if you want to tell us your, maybe a great pet story, we would love to share those on next week or the next episode.
Absolutely.
It's definitely not going to be next week.
No, and that's the thing we want to talk about. So our main goal, our overall goal, is to publish episodes on the 15th and the 30th of each month. But we're behind. We've been behind the last two episodes. We realize that we still have that general goal that we're aiming for, but we were a couple days late. We will also not be posting on the 15th.
Correct. I am on Tuesday leaving for Japan, and so not going to be able to record another episode at that time for the next 10 days or whatever that is. So we will get this episode out at the beginning of April here, and then we will get another episode out at the end of April, will be our goal.
Right. And if you've been following along on our Segments as Spoken podcast, we will also be missing at least a week of that due to the Japan trip, but we'll try to catch up on the episodes that we missed. That is happening, being posted on Wednesday nights right after the episode airs. It's just about a half hour or so, our reflections on the TV show Survivor.
Yeah, and so that will be interesting. So I'll get back from Japan on Tuesday at some point. I've never been so far away. I'm not sure what the jet lag situation is going to be, but we will get those two episodes of Survivor Has Spoken either Wednesday or Thursday and get those out as soon as we can. So
yeah, you'll probably have a lot of work piled up for you too when you get back.
I can only imagine.
We really love doing this, so we're going to make an effort to get it out there just because we enjoy it.
Yep, and as always, you can get your segments merch from TeePublic. That is easy. And usually
Yeah,
they have a
t-shirt,
sale.
Mug, notebook. They have sales all the time. So if you look it up once, it will be in your Facebook feed for weeks probably. And that will let you know when there's a sale.
That's right.
All you have to do is Google it once, and it will follow you forever.
You probably want to, start your Christmas shopping.
Ooh, yeah.
It might be time to start that.
Late Easter gift.
A late Easter gift? Or
a lot of wedding anniversaries coming up in the spring and early summer.
Nothing says happy anniversary like a nice Segments t-shirt.
Yeah.
So
you can leave us a review on iTunes or Facebook. That helps other listeners find us, and we love to read them.
All right, we want to say thank you so much to Emma for the logo and graphics. If you want her to draw you a little something, she is taking commissions at of Hauntings on Twitter. And let me tell you, she needs some cash. She's going on a big hootenanny trip pretty soon.
Yeah, she's going to a convention in Chicago. She's so excited.
She's so excited, but she needs some money to eat. So
absolutely.
So get at her, and she would love to draw you a little something.
Yeah, we want to thank our nephew Gabriel. He is EDM Samurai. He provides our intro and outro music, and you can find him on SoundCloud at EDM Samurai.
That's right, and it is in actual real-time time. It is almost 8 o'clock, Amber, and that means it's a Wednesday night. It's 8 o'clock. It's Survivor time.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's time to jump in. So if you can't get enough Mark and Amber, and you are a fan of the CBS show Survivor, we are covering that every single week. Segments has spoken, recapping every episode.
Woohoo!
So join us. That will probably be released right on the heels of this episode. So just watch it. It's really funny. Not funny, just incredibly exciting and fun.
Oh, so good.
We're funny.
We tried.
But the show is just...
What was it you said about this one? It's not really entertaining.
Yeah. Is that what I said? Well, you're
Hopefully
welcome.
it's entertaining.
Hopefully a little bit entertaining. Yeah. And we know that you guys thrive on hearing our voices.
Absolutely.
So bless you. Have a great night, morning. I don't know when you're listening.
We don't know when you're listening.
Whatever
have a great
time
day.
you have a great time of the day.
Yeah. Blue skidoo, we can do.
Woo!